A Dog Called Houdini Chapter 10. Leaving the toboggan, Red dug the piled snow away from the doorstep of the trapper's cabin. Finally, he swung the door open, bulldozing before it what snow was still left in its way. He pulled the toboggan inside. Through chinks in the cedar shingles, he could see the sky. Still, it was shelter. One window had been shattered, but he would find some way to block out the cold. The trees that edged the cabin concealed it from the town. It was a perfect place to hide. From a pocket in his parka, Red took a book of matches and scraped one alight. The tiny flame lit the dark cabin long enough for Red to locate the old fireplace and some scrap boards. With light from a second match, he set the kindling in place and, from another pocket, took scrolls of birch bark that he had stripped from a tree on his way to the cabin. When he touched a third match to the birch bark, he had a fire going. The young flame crackled happily, and soon shadows began to dance on the wooden walls. Houdini was still unconscious. By the light that now filled the room, Red saw blood on the dog's fur. He removed his mitts and warmed his hands, then unstrapped the dog and lifted him to a blanket on the wooden floor. Like a doctor, he examined the dog, talking while he did. "This won't hurt a bit now, boy. Not a bit. You're going to be all right. Yes, sir, you're gonna be fine. No car's gonna kill a dog like you. Bad cut on the right shoulder, but the bleeding stopped. That we can fix. But wait a minute. Gotta be careful, boy. Real careful." Here he gingerly felt the right paw, pulling it slightly ahead, then pushing it back. "Broken? Yes, I think it's broken. I've never set a broken bone before, Houdini. But it's gotta be done. There's nobody else, so I'm the one to do it. Lucky you're out cold. What better time? You won't feel a thing." With that, he yanked the paw hard forward and felt the bone snap into place. "There," he said, proud of his skill as a surgeon. The dog sighed but did not waken. The fire was growing bigger now, licking higher and higher and shooting sparks upwards. There was a sweet smell of pine burning. The cabin was growing warmer by the minute. Red got his old saucepan and went outside to fill it with snow. He set it over the fire, then cut bits of splint from the veneer and carefully wrapped the dog's leg. He turned Houdini over on his other side, but there were no other wounds and no more broken bones. When the snow had thawed and the water was warm, he bathed the cut and bandaged it. "There," he said, "it is done." Red was in no hurry now. He looked around the cabin at the four-poster bed, the old table tumbled on its side, the shelves. The dog was going to be all right as long as he was kept warm. It was cold though, and would grow colder before dawn. The fire must be kept going. Red began to hack away at the bed and the shelves. They would make dry firewood, more than enough for the night. When he was finished, he turned his attention to the broken window. It had to be blocked up to stop all the warm air from rushing outside. Ripping apart the lumpy old mattress, Red pulled out the grey stuffing and jammed it into the broken window. Houdini still slept, but it seemed he was dreaming. He was making sounds in his throat. Red unrolled his sleeping bag, removed his boots, and crawled into the bag to wait. Houdini would come around. O'Malley was not the kind of man to tell the town what he feared his son had done. His so-called friends had already laughed at him, humiliated him in 100 ways, and now his own son had hurt him worse than any of them. He had run off with that dog. Though O'Malley feared what might happen to his only son out there on the frigid winter night, He could not bear to alarm the town to risk their laughter. Not yet. But his wife took immediate action. She didn't care what the town thought of the dog or the dog catcher. Her son had disappeared into a 20 below zero night, and she was frightened. Quickly, she called all the neighbors to find out if they had seen Red. Then she phoned the police. People began to arrive at the house. "He wanted a dog," she whispered. "A dog of his own. We should have let him have a dog." Her friends and neighbors tried to comfort her. When O'Malley came back from his futile search, he stood in the living room looking through its frosted window and smoking cigarettes. He watched the road, hoping to see Red coming home, but he knew he watched in vain. The neighbors, seeing him standing alone at the window, felt sorry for him, and guilty too. "It's our fault, you know," said one neighbor. "We hounded that dog. He wasn't hurting anyone." "He's a jinx, though," said another. "There's been nothing but trouble in the town since he came." "Wait a minute," said a third. "That's nothing the trouble we've got now. Let's let bygones go by. What we need is to find that boy, and the dog too." "That's right," said a woman friend of Mrs. O'Malley's. "Christmas can't come for anyone with a lad away from home on a freezing night like this." There was a knock at the door, and the O'Malley's minister arrived to offer his sympathy and a prayer for Red's safety. As he prayed, he asked for help for all the lost sheep adrift in the storm this night of the birth of Jesus. Mrs. O'Malley began to cry. O'Malley went over to her and put his hand on her shoulder. When the minister was finished, Godfrey Ames spoke up. "Let's be organized. Let's search the whole town." "Maybe he's hiding out with a friend," a neighbor suggested. "I called Alty McGregor's house. He wasn't there," said Mrs. O'Malley. "Surely no parent would hide him, knowing the worry that would cause you," said the minister. "Especially on Christmas Eve, when everyone is at home." "You're right, Reverend," said O'Malley, "but I'm off to check the streets again." He was pulling on his mucklucks, as were the other men, when Constable Sawchuk from our Ontario Provincial Police arrived. The search party stopped and let him take over. His presence sent hope through everyone in the room, and Mrs. O'Malley dried her eyes and tried to answer his questions. "What was the boy wearing? When did he leave? What did he take with him?" Before Officer Sawchuk had gathered all his information, there was a loud knock on the door. When O'Malley flung it open, he found Abel Hilkanen and his brother Vico standing on the steps. Abel Hilkanen was in town for Christmas, staying with his brother, who was a bachelor like himself. They had come from Finland together 20 years ago, and every Christmas Eve they got together to reminisce. While they were having a few drinks, Vico told Abel about the runaway boy, son of the dog catcher, and about the mysterious dog that had caused nothing but trouble since he had come to town. "A black and white dog, you say?" asked Abel. "Yes." "Average size?" Abel asked. "Yes," Vico said. "By golly, it sounds like Bubba." "Bubba?" his brother asked. "Bubba, old man Wraith's dog. When Wraith died last winter, that dog just went loony. Wouldn't come home to any of us. I guess maybe he came to your town. He followed us out of the bush and to the railway tracks, but that's the last we saw of him. That was one smart dog, that Bubba. Come, we'll go see those people, Vico." They donned jackets and hauled on their boots. They were both a little tipsy. When they got to the O'Malley's house, Abel all but pushed Constable Sawchuk aside. "Who's the man of the house?" he asked. "I am," O'Malley said. "You got a drink for me and Vico?" "You, sir," the police officer said, "have had enough to drink." Abel shrugged his shoulders. Okay. O'Malley waited silently. Who was this man? Abel walked to the window and faced the crowd. He acted so self-assured. It seemed he was the one who lived in town and Vico was the guest. He told the story of Bubba and everyone listened carefully. Nobody doubted the man. He was too confident. "Mr. O'Malley," he said at last, "tell me about your boy." "What do you want to know?" "We know about the dog now, but not about the boy." "He's smart in the woods like you?" asked Abel. "Talk to the man, Rodney." "What kind of boy is your son?" Abel repeated. "Not much like me," O'Malley muttered. But under the prodding eyes of the others he began to talk. "He's a loner?" "Yes," O'Malley said. "He can take care of himself," Mrs. O'Malley added. "Fish, catch rabbits, ski." "Ah," said Abel. "So he is like his father. We know he's not with his friends." "Why not?" snapped O'Malley angrily. "'Cause he's a loner, that's why. He would not trust anyone to help him," Abel said. "And he knows the woods." "Well," O'Malley said. "He fishes, he hunts. You taught him?" "No." "But he likes the outdoors?" Abel went on. "Yes," answered O'Malley thoughtfully. Abel turned to Constable Sawchuck. "Sir, is there a place around he could hole up in? A school building?" "No," answered the officer. "The schools are too well locked for Red to get in." "Church?" The minister quickly dashed that possibility. Every church was going to have a midnight Christmas service and Red would know better. "That leaves one other place," cried Abel. "Abandoned buildings." "What about abandoned buildings? Any around?" That led to a babble of information. "Easy," Abel said, holding up a work-worn hand. "Don't get excited. We'll start from the center of the town and work our way out." That put some order in the search. It came to light that there was an old fire station, an abandoned garage that once was a car dealership, and a warehouse. "Good," said Abel. "We've got some places to start looking." "What about the shack at the edge of the golf course?" one man asked. Good, said Abel. "Every little bit helps. We'll cover them all. No point all of us going the same place. We'll split up and get back in an hour. It's a cold one tonight. You get hot coffee back here." And at last the search for Red got underway. Chapter 11. Merry Christmas. The fire sputtered. Red crept out of his sleeping bag to pile on more firewood. The cabin was warm enough. He checked the dog, but Houdini still slept. Red was tired now, but he did not think it would be very smart to go to sleep. When Houdini awoke, he might panic. Even if he were not asleep when Houdini recovered from the tranquilizer, it was going to be touchy. This dog had always run free. He would see the walls around him, the roof over his head, the fire he was not accustomed to, the boy he did not acknowledge as master or even as friend. Red wondered what the dog would do. To keep himself awake, he decided to eat something. He was hungry, for the hasty supper he had eaten had not done him much good. He thought he would cook some moose burger and put some of it aside for Houdini when he awoke. He took the meat from his pack and pared off frozen flakes with his knife. It was hard work and took a long time. Then he set the saucepan over the fire and watched as it began to sizzle. The aroma of frying meat filled the cabin. Suddenly Houdini's nose twitched. Meat, food, eating. The combination began to bring him back to consciousness. Stirring the thawing meat in the saucepan with the blade of his knife, Red watched. The dog's nose continued to twitch. His tail moved, but still he slept. Red had begun to eat when Houdini's eyes finally opened. "Houdini," he said softly, "you're awake." He wanted to pat the dog, but he knew that the situation was delicate. He sat back. The dog's eyes were glassy and depthless. "Houdini," Red said. "Good boy. You made it." Houdini lifted his head but could not hold it up. It flopped back. He wanted to stand, but his legs were weak. One of them wouldn't do what it should be doing. He never took his eyes off the boy. He began to snarl, showing his teeth. Red tried to look unconcerned. He would have to prove that he meant no harm. He threw a piece of the fried meat to Houdini, but the dog didn't look at it. "Don't blame you," Red said. "That's how he tricked you, isn't it? But I'm your friend, boy. A friend. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm here to take care of you, to see that no one harms you." He threw wood on the fire. Houdini watched him through blurred eyes, keeping up the growl in his throat. Red thought of something else. He took the moose steak from his pack and hacked off a chunk of the boiled hard meat. Spitting it on the knife, he held it close to the coals. It thawed and began to roast. It smelled good. Houdini watched and sniffed. When it was done, Red held it out to the dog, going closer and closer. Houdini growled louder and tried to pull away from Red. Red stopped. There was no point in rushing and spoiling things. He was satisfied to throw the meat to the dog's mouth. Houdini sniffed it, picked it up slowly, then dropped it again. Suspicious, all right, Red thought. Then the dog sniffed it again, picked it up and chewed on it gingerly. He dropped it a second time and sniffed. "Eat it, boy," Red encouraged. "There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing." He cut another piece off the steak and roasted it on the coals. Then he began to eat. "See," he said, "I'll eat it too. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good." At last Houdini ate. To Red this was victory. He could go to sleep now. The dog had accepted him. He was sleepy too. He took off his parka and, creeping close to Houdini, despite the growls, covered the dog's body with his coat. He wouldn't need it. His sleeping bag would be warm enough. He zipped himself in. "Go to sleep, boy," he said as he lay down. Houdini watched him beneath half-shut lids until Red's flickering eyelids closed in sleep. They were both sleeping soundly when the search party found them, the boy and the dog, snug in a cabin that cold Christmas Eve. On Christmas morning, the dog was resting peacefully in the basement, and Red was still asleep beside him. He had fought off all orders to sleep in his own bed. No, he said, he would sleep in his sleeping bag right by the dog. He wouldn't leave Houdini unprotected, not for a moment. At 8 o'clock, his father came down the steps to check on them. He was greeted by a fierce Houdini. The dog awoke immediately and, lying on his belly, began to snarl. This noise woke Red, and O'Malley scurried back up the stairs into the kitchen. "A man can't even go in his own basement on account of that dog," he complained. "Oh, Rodney, be thankful," his wife said. "My own house," he grumbled. "We have our son back safe and sound." "True enough," he answered. "It's not so much to let him keep the dog," she said. "Where am I to stay? In a doghouse? That dog hates me." She turned to him. "He has a reason to, dear, but he'll change. Everything changes. Everybody changes." "You can say that again. Look at me, allowing a dog into my house, and look at the dog I've allowed." Red entered the kitchen happily. "Morning, Mom. Morning, Pop. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas, son," Mrs. O'Malley said, hugging the boy. "Merry Christmas," his father said. The kitchen was filled with the smell of bacon and eggs. Red said. "Smells great." "I guess you're good and hungry." I could eat a horse, Mom, he said. Me and Houdini. Humph, his father said. Then the telephone rang. O'Malley picked it off the hook. Yes, he said, covering the transmitter. He whispered to his wife. It's Mayor Frederick. Yes, Mayor. He said aloud into the transmitter. What can I do for you? Yes, we got him. In your house? The mayor asked. In the basement. Guess you heard about my boy. Sure. But the dog, man. What's keeping you? Get rid of it. Put the mud to sleep. No, Mayor. That's what I'm trying to tell you. My boy wants to keep the dog. They've taken to each other. And after all, considering what he went through to save the dog, how can we say no? Say that again, said the mayor. I don't think I heard you correctly. My boy's keeping the dog, Mayor. Poppycock, man. Ridiculous. It's Christmas, Mayor. A dog catcher can't take in a stray mongrel like that. You're fired, O'Malley. You hear me? Fired. You can't fire me, Mayor. I quit. But, the mayor shouted, a Merry Christmas to you, O'Malley answered. Merry Christmas to you and your family. And with that he hung up. Did you hear that, Mom? Red cried. He put his hand on his father's arm, standing closer than the man and boy had stood in years. Thanks, Pop, he said. Merry Christmas, his father said. The two of them stood together for a while, looking through the picture window at the town, quiet now and serene. The town and the hills were Christmas white, and ribbons of white smoke rose from the chimneys and lost themselves in the heavens. Suddenly, there was a tremendous barking from the basement. Excuse me, Pop, said Red. I gotta go look after my dog. They say in the town that O'Malley is a changed man. He and his son Red are closer now. He takes Red to the trap line whenever he can, and the boy is fast becoming a skilled woodsman. Even more amazing, they say that O'Malley has taken to the dog, and the dog to him. He takes Houdini along with him when he goes into the woods. He says the dog can spot a grouse at 500 paces and earns every cent of his keep with the rabbits he flushes out of the underbush. But there are those who say that O'Malley just plain likes the dog. Who can tell? One thing is for sure. If Red is out of school and it's time to go out to the bush to check the trap line, all three of them go together. End of A Dog Called Houdini.